Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and very good morning. Thank you, Associate Professor Surveyor Dr. Suraya Muhammad, Internal Examiner Judge Specialist Dr. Suharto Teriman, and Internal Examiner Associate Professor Town Planner Dr. Harun Nizam. Thank you for being here today. Okay, my name is Shafa Mazida Abdullah Ayub. My research title is Enhancing Social Dimension of Community Garden in Residential Neighborhood. My main supervisor is Associate Professor, Town Planner, Job Specialist Dr. Haji Hamid Zainul, and my co-supervisor Dr. Nur Huzaimah Muhammad Hussein. Basically, this is my presentation content divided into 7 parts. Okay, for introduction, sustainable development has been one of the major agendas of the world and this country. It focused on meeting the needs of present without compromising the needs for future. And it focused on 3 dimensions, namely environmental, economic, and social. Social dimension is often associated with the goal of achieving human well-being, while community garden are able to support sustainable development through social dimension. Okay, in Malaysia, the policies and implementation of community garden can be traced back in 2005 when the Green Earth campaign was introduced by former Prime Minister Tun Abdullah Haji Ahmad Badawi. And in 2008, the first community garden was introduced through the Green Earth program. It involves the residents of Putrajaya. And this program actually encouraged the community to grow their own food. And in 2012, Plan Malaysia introduced the Green Neighborhood Planning Guideline, and community garden was included as one of the initiatives. And in 2014, Urban Agriculture Program was introduced by Department of Agriculture. It offers technical consulting and training for community to implementing this initiative. Since then, local authorities have begun encourage their community to start community gardening. Unfortunately, although community garden have promoted since 2008, the implementation is still low and not all local authorities are actively implementing this initiative. And all this happened due to the loss of interest and less support from the community. And it relates to some of the issues such as inexperience, lack of awareness, lack of basic knowledge and skill, lack of manpower, and lack of time. Thus, according to Tajuddin et al. 2019, further studies on the influence factor of community gardens need to be conducted. And observations have shown that there is a lack of evidence from previous study on social dimension for community garden in Malaysia. And therefore, this research is to fill the knowledge gap about relationship between social dimensions and community garden. As you can see, this slide shows the research question and research objective, and all of these have been formulated as the direction of this research. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, social dimension is one of the important pillars for achieving sustainable development. It refers to human society and the interaction between individual and the society. The goal is to achieve human well-being and to improve the quality of life. And previous research have shown that there are 7 components of social dimension as stated in the slide. While community garden refer to agriculture activities carried out by community in residence neighborhood, and previous research have shown that there are many benefits of community garden in terms of social dimension. And this is the conceptual framework for this research. It is used as a basic guideline to conducting this research, and all the components were evaluated to identify the contributing factors of social dimension for community garden. Furthermore, this research has used descriptive research with quantitative method And according to Seedlet Kit 2020, it suits with the research question of what and how. And in addition, it is appropriate to determine the relationship between variables that have been selected. And questionnaire method were used similar to Martin et al. 2017 and Machida 2019. Meanwhile, the sampling process started by identifying the community garden project through local authority in Malaysia. After that, the selection process focused on participant of a Neighborhood Green Initiative Award competition in 2016. And the justification for selection is based on the winners, follow with the largest number and the largest area of community gardens. Then community garden of 1 acre and above was selected. To be specific, this slide shows the winner and the 4 selected community gardens in Shah Alam. For the purpose of this research, non-probability sampling method by purposive sampling was chosen, and this sampling type was used because it refers to a group of respondents who have the similar characteristics, and it involves the community gardeners who have the relevant knowledge and experience about community gardening. Total population sampling was used because it is suitable to the small numbers of population. And this slide shows the questionnaire design. Section B focuses on social dimension component for community garden. Okay. Furthermore, a pilot survey was conducted at Taman Sriman District in Tampere. The determination of 30 numbers of respondents were based on Johansson and Brooks 2010. The justification of a selection is housing area and on government reserve land. And the alpha value is 0.7 to 0.9 is considered a good reliability. Okay, the real survey was conducted at 4 community garden in Shah Alam, and 110 questionnaires were distributed and 86 were written and usable. This is in line with Kerji Morgan sample size determination table, and the respondent rate is 78% and considered acceptable by Lewis et al. 2016. As a result of the respondent profile, this table shows that the most of the respondents are Malay and graduated from universities or college. And this slide also shows the majority of the respondents went to the garden once or twice a week. Okay. In addition, this slide shows the result of social dimension of health. It shows that factor analysis successfully from 3 new components, namely as healthy food, healthy physical, and healthy consumption. The most contributing factor is provide more fresh food. And this is the result for safety and security. It shows that the factor analysis does not form any new component. This is also happen for the rest of component of social dimension. And however, reduced crime in the neighborhood is the main contributor for this component. While the most contributing factor for social interaction is get more friends after getting involved with gardening activity. And this slide shows the most contributing factor for sense of belonging is feeling proud of the community gardens. For leisure and recreation component, the most contributing factor is promote physical activity and exercise. And this slide shows the component of education and skills. The main contributor for this component is provide knowledge of sustainability and sustainable practice in urban life. For political components, we can see that develop social leadership and networks is the most contributing factor for this component. This is the summary of social dimension factor analysis from this table, we can see that only half variable form 3 new components. And this is the finding for RO1. We can see that this research achieved RO1 by designing a questionnaire that include 53 items from 7 components of social dimension. And this is the finding for RO2, and this is also achieve RO2 by finding 49 contributing factors to the social dimension of community garden. And this is the finding for RO3. This research achieved RO3. It managed to produce a research framework, and it shows that the health component is the main contributor to the social dimension of community gardens in the residential neighborhood. So the conclusion and recommendation for this research are the factors identified from this research are considered as an effort to achieve sustainability and to ensure that the implementation of community garden can be improved. And the clear information from this research can help to encourage community to engage in this activity. These initiatives also can bridge the gap between the community and local authority to support local Agenda 21. And this research suggested that the future study should look at environmental and economic dimension of community garden. And this research also suggested that the future study should use qualitative method designed to obtain in-depth information. And finally, this research would contribute to the theoretical and practical. In terms of theoretical, this research contributes to the knowledge of social dimension and community garden, especially in Malaysia. And this research also offers information for further studies related to community garden in other urban or suburban areas. And in terms of practical, this research will help to increase community awareness about community garden in residential neighborhood. It provides clear information as a guide to overcome any issues and to suggest the best strategies for local authority. And the last one, it can also be used as a guideline to make a decision and justification for local community development. And this is my list of publication. And well, I think this is all from me today. And I hope my presentation would able to give a clear picture about my research. And finally, I apologize. Is there any mistakes during my presentation? And I end my presentation with Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.